Thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Speaker. I was curious about something that House Minority Leader Ilana Rubel told Betsy Russell, that it might take 2/3 of the House to change rules, but only a simple majority to recess until April. Is that a possibility, and is there any appetite in your caucus to do so?
Well, let's clear that process up, and Representative Rubel understands it as well as I do. In order to be in and out in 30 minutes, as she described, she knows that we'd have to suspend the rules, and we do that by unanimous consent. And so one person can uh, bring to a halt the process that she's been referencing. So there's that. Here's the thing. I mean, the Constitution binds us to show up on a date certain, which we will. And then when we get there, we'll operate within the House rules that were adopted in the organizational session. And in order to suspend or change those rules or insert temporary rules, then that would take a two-thirds vote on the House floor in person, because you have to live by the old rules, and to modify those rules, and the similar process would have to happen in the Senate. Now, in order to, if there were a motion to to recess or to adjourn to a time certain, then that would take a majority vote in both the House and the Senate. Otherwise, there's a constitutional issue there where one body cannot be in session without the other one there, and or one body can only be in session for 3 days before the other one calls it back in. And so, in your career, maybe you've seen some of that happen, but that kind of clears it up. And so the Idaho Legislature, like all legislative bodies, is a very deliberative body, and we're bound by the Constitution, and then extension, the statutes and the rules, and those can all be amended and changed, but there's a process in which to do that. Now, having said all that, we are taking every safety protocol that we can. We're looking within the prerogatives that we do have to conduct business as close to normal as possible, and still in the committee process, for example, allow for social distancing. We've invested a lot of money this summer, thousands of dollars, in upgrading the technology in the building so that every committee room has the audio and video capacity to take remote testimony, etc. Now, in order for members to vote remotely, that would take you have a cat behind you.
I do.
All right.
Apologies.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
It's better than the second grader wandering through.
So, the cat notwithstanding, we will do as much as we can within the rules that we have, and we're going to play it by ear. I mean, it's impossible for me to predict every twist and turn that the legislature will make in a normal year, let alone this year. Now, we have staff that we lean on heavily, and if we lose staff, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If we get above a certain threshold of members, and I don't know what that threshold is at this point, but if we get a certain threshold that are test positive and need to step back, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's going to be week by week and day by day, but we've all taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and the laws, and we'll do that as best we can. So,
some other state legislatures have had issues with the caucuses not necessarily being open with each other when there are positive tests among their members. Do you have a plan in place to communicate if and when one of your caucus members has a positive test, to communicate that with not just members of the minority caucus, but also the staff and lobbyists and other people who might have been in contact with them?
Well, just as you and I don't like our medical history out there, I'm assuming that will be an issue. I do think that, however, when my actions would harm others, harm others' health. And I think I would have some obligation to let everyone know that. And I think for the most part, and I can't think of a situation where or a personality that at the legislature that wouldn't step back if they were contagious, etc. And I think that would happen. The thing of it is that we don't know all the time when we are contagious and when we are not. The good news is that there has been no activity, no increased. No one has tested positive since the organizational session, or even after the special session this summer. There have been plenty of interactions, and we call that good luck or good management. I don't know which one it is. I assume it's the former, but we'll just proceed. But I think that we would all be honor bound, if not duty bound, to let one another know and to step back if the need should arise.
Are there opportunities for members to continue to participate if they do have to quarantine?
Not under our rules at this point. That's the rub. Well, there are rules, and there are possibilities for members to participate. So let's say I go down. I have a list of people that could go in and take and take my place in the legislative process as an alternate. And I could be in their ear at all times, listening in with this increased technology that we have, and they could, we could consult, and they could vote my wishes, I guess, if that's how we chose to go forward. But I doubt, now it's not impossible, but I doubt that we're going to let people stay at home in their jammies and vote. I just don't see that happening. But we do have processes where people can get alternates or participate remotely, and and we'll try to accommodate that. That's why we have vice chairs and hierarchy. If I'm not able to fulfill my responsibilities as the speaker and being the chair to preside, then there are a list of who that flows down to. So short of wholesale changes, we'll fall back on the process that you've seen happen year after year.
Understanding that you said you're going to have to take this week by week and day by day, the CDC, the White House Coronavirus Task Force, state recommendations all say that large gatherings really should be limited and people should be able to work remotely if possible. So how much of that is part of the conversation? And when you make these decisions, how much of it goes to public health considerations and how much of it goes to politics?
Well, those health considerations, as you describe, will not trump our Constitution or our processes within the legislature. They cannot and will not. But that's why I say day by day, week by week. If conditions change, then we'll see if the legislature reacts accordingly. I'm not going to bind their vote. I'm not going to try to predict what they may or may not do. You've seen them turn on a dime and you've seen them drag their feet. So I don't know how it will be. But again, I think everyone is taking their responsibilities to show up and complete the people's work in as responsible a manner as they possibly can.
One last question. The hospitals in Idaho Falls, in Boise, in Magic Valley, in North Idaho have all expressed concern that we're nearing crisis standards of care. Mm-hmm. Understanding that there is no political appetite in the majority of the legislature, in the governor's office for things like a statewide mask mandate, what solution do you propose to help avoid us getting to that crisis standards of care?
I'm having some technical difficulties on this end, sorry. I've literally lost the feed here, right? Can you still see? Yeah,
I can see you and hear you, yeah.
Okay, well, and I didn't even have a cat jump out from behind me.
I know. I can lend you one.
Well, we'd have to be deferential to the House rules, and it would take a unanimous vote. We can't get that here
Of
either.
course.
So back to how we would run this session. We will, we're not going to cut corners in the in the name of expediency. We're going to try to conduct our business as quickly and as efficiently as we possibly can, and I'm not ruling out extended recesses. I am just not going to commit to that at this point. And do I think it's likely? No, I don't think it's likely that at first. I just don't think that will happen. But who knows what will happen down the road?
Back to the question before you cut out, hospitals in Southern Idaho, North Idaho are all saying that we're nearing crisis standards of care, and understanding there's no political appetite in the state house for certain mitigation efforts like mask mandates.
Mm-hmm.
What solution do you see to avoid crisis standards of care, and does the legislature have a role in that?
Well, I think that ultimately we could, so if we so chose. As far as, the people have asked to be vested with personal responsibility now. And I mean, I think that's an undertone in what has led up to where we are here on the 17th of December. So now they have the personal responsibility. I think that it's incumbent upon everyone to take that responsibility and act responsibly. And but again, a mandate that if enforced would result in a misdemeanor where you are subject to up to 6 months in jail and up to $1,000 fine, and it goes on your record. It's not like a speeding ticket. It's just the grade above that. It's a misdemeanor, and I don't believe that that's proper. And I don't believe that there is appetite in the law enforcement community to enforce that as as a mandate. But again, if the people have spoken through their representatives, both at the health districts and otherwise, and they want personal responsibility, they have that, and they should exercise it responsibly.
One last question. Are you planning to wear a mask during the session?
I'm going to, I'll probably mess up and I'll probably forget. I don't know if, well, wearing masks is, yes, I will. I mean, I'm going to participate when I can't distance, then I will have a mask on. When I'm conducting the meeting, of course, I'm distanced, and I will. If a person comes into my office and they are wearing a mask, I will reciprocate that. If they don't choose, then I may or may not choose. But I think that we owe our fellow man and our colleagues and the public this reciprocating to their concerns. I think I think that's just fitting and proper that we do that. So I'm committed to setting a good example, and as awkward sometimes as a mask is, and how animated we all get, and that seems to muzzle us, which so people they just got to take it off and talk. But I think that we need to curb we can still conduct the business with masks or through masks or around masks, or however we've got to do that. But I to your pointed question, what will I do? I will be more diligent in wearing a mask.
All right, Speaker Scott Bedke, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.